Hello there, Commonwealth from you. And the Ocarina of Time remake, which is very likely happening after Nate the Hate spilled the beans and said it's a proper remake, not just a remastering or redoing of the 3DS version, so no Metopia. And it's now also been supported by VGC, who says that this is not a remaster or a graphical upgrade of what we had on the 3DS 15 years ago in 2011, but rather a whole new remake specifically built for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is coming out by the end of the holiday this year, 2026. But in addition to those more credible sources when it comes to the story, and of course the news that Masterworks' Tears of the Kingdom, to the lore of Tears of the Kingdom, is being localized now in English as Secrets of the Zonai, I don't think that title is all that great. Would have preferred creating a hero, but well, we're getting it and it's coming out in October. I'm not going to be spending more time on that, but we need to see all of this in the context of a build up towards the Zelda movie and probably the reveal of the next Zelda game, which we'll get to towards the end of the video. But the main source that we'll be talking about today is the face on Nick. Already at the end of 2024, so before the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2, stated that, man, I want that Ocarina remake so bad. Got a DM a while back that it's got a pretty big budget. Do keep in mind, this was before Nash Weedle's comments about the Ocarina remake and it's being some time away. But after Nate came out, put his reputation on the line, which is, we all know how solid that one is. Sefeisol Nick also added that as a follow-up to what he said back in 2024, after Nate told that it is happening, from what I've been told, we're getting a Zelda-themed limited edition Switch 2 console. Not sure if the game will be bundled or not. And this is big. This is really big because if this is true, they are literally doing what they did with Ocarina of Time 3D back in 2011, where it was the very first 3DS themed system, that being that Black Zelda with the gold theme, but of course in that case the game was bundled. Here it's less likely because we have seen throughout the Nintendo Switch generation, Nintendo is not very glad in bundling their games. Ever since Animal Crossing, we've seen that yes, they will sell you a themed system, but not with the game included, not even a code in that case. And again, with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, we had that awesome system, and obviously then the game wasn't bundled as well. So I have a feeling that it might be something similar like that. They know that the Switch 2 sells, they know that Zelda fans will want this Ocarina or Zelda 40th themed system. If that's the case, it's also 15 years since we got The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D on the Nintendo 3DS and that special themed system. Gonna be the perfect way of bringing more people to buy Nintendo Switch 2, especially towards the holidays, as this will be the hottest item. Going back to 2024, Sefeisol Nick saying they got a pretty big budget. It shows one thing. Nintendo is taking this project very, very seriously. Something that, if we're still to believe Nash Weedle at all after that whole direct in February or March disaster, we are here in April, the new fiscal year, absolutely nothing has happened. We are waiting now for Nate's statements to come into fruition. But one thing that Nash brought up that I still want to look at as a possibility is that Nintendo themselves are developing this. And the first time this was the case, it's happened a couple of times in the past, but the main one for the 3D remakes, because both Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D were done by Grezzo. But the Wind Waker HD for the Wii U was made by Nintendo internally. Because there are some rumors going around. Some saying it's an external team getting support from Nintendo. Some are saying that it could be Grezzo, and this is their next big project after Echoes of Wisdom, 2 years after. Personally, I think it would have been a little bit of a waste because I think Nintendo has a potential here of having 3 separate Zelda teams. One that focuses on the open air, which is obviously the Kyoto team, the Nintendo team. Then you have the Grezzo team in Tokyo, which is making the new top-down games. And then the third one could start with the remake of Ocarina of Time, but then gradually, after maybe doing also Majora's Mask remake, finally get the permission from Nintendo to make a brand new, traditional, more linear 3D Zelda to be not replacing open air Zelda, which the Kyoto team of course will continue developing, but rather as a supplement to it. Creating the Triforce that we've been talking about. Power, open air. Wisdom, top down. Courage, traditional linear 3D, just like Ocarina of Time. if the budget is to be believed, whether it's a new team at Nintendo, maybe Monolith Soft, we know that they've been expanding a lot based on the information and the hiring spree that they've been doing. We know they haven't announced any projects yet for Nintendo Switch 2. Maybe this is their big project. Question is, would that be the Tokyo team, or would it be the Kyoto team that is supporting the Zelda team with the open air games? This could be a mark of confidence towards them, that they finally get to develop Zelda projects themselves instead of just supporting the biggest kind, you know? And Ocarina of Time is like the perfect thing they can do. They have the open world expertise, they can expand the world, the budget is bigger, the possibilities are definitely there, add some new gameplay while maintaining the traditional pacing key moments that Ocarina of Time is so very, very famous for. We all agree that the moments that makes Ocarina should not be tinkered with. Take all the stuff that wasn't possible to realize both on the N64 and the 3DS, so cut content and just mechanics that couldn't be used, and put it into, so we can get the true vision that they had for Ocarina of Time. This remake will mark for a new beginning for Zelda projects of at least nostalgic Zelda games. I think also they could take some of the best elements from Twilight Princess, whether that is some of the water-based gameplay and mini-games from that game, Epona gameplay, sword and shield combat. I just feel like when Nick is talking about a higher budget, I will be a little bit critical about accepting all of this as fact. Nathan Haight is the only person that I believe we can really trust. But at the same time, what Nick was bringing up could be somewhat true. By far ultimate version of Ocarina, but it's also dangerous territory to enter. Because if you start changing too much, will it still be the same game? We have seen this before with Final Fantasy VII Remake, where a lot of original fans are disappointed because of the massive gameplay changes, the addition of filler sections that makes the main quests slower and more dragged out. And for us, Ocarina of Time Remake will be the equivalent to Final Fantasy VII Remake. And we want to avoid those mistakes. We know it's not going to be cut up into 3 parts, so that is one thing that we luckily will be able to avoid. But one thing that we should be careful is that the new content that is added should be one of 2 things. Number 1 is filling out the map, or if you're expanding it, adding some new areas that are simply side content. It's not part of the main quest. It's there for side quests, it's there for mini-games, it's there for activities that are not tied to the dungeon order. If you mess with the main quest, that is going to be a real problem. The only exception is completing the adult section dungeon circle. And if a part of this bigger budget, apart from expanding the world, adding the elements and cut content that we're talking about, like turning the final battle into the Shadow of the Colossus style that they originally planned, or just adding other mechanics and elements, the big thing is really the inclusion of the Light Temple. A final temple to complete the circle before you go to fight the self-proclaimed king, Ganondorf. This is the way you make Ocarina the best game ever again, because you maintain the pacing, you add meaningful and originally cut content back into the game, with it also making the game bigger, but at the same time respecting Ocarina for what it is. So that both new generation fans and old generation fans can go hand in hand with this project and not be divided. Something that probably will continue with the English localization of Masterworks Tears of the Kingdom, Secrets of the Zonai. And if that is coming out in October, and say Ocarina Remake is coming in November, around the same time we're likely to also see the first teaser for the live action The Legend of Zelda movie. And we all know that that movie will probably have its own directs, like we have seen with the Super Mario Bros. Movie and Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is now in theaters. All of this points that Nintendo is really taking the 40th anniversary seriously, but they are focusing on it starting from June, as they did back in 2021. And with Ocarina of Time Remake likely being revealed in a June Direct seems to be the most possible, especially after Nathan Haight stated that there's no Direct in the near future that he knows of. It is very possible that Ocarina of Time is being revealed in a June Direct, and then later in the year we get the first teaser and trailer and clips of The Legend of Zelda live action movie, and then after that one is out, and also of course Ocarina of Time Remake, we get the reveal of the next open Zelda game that the Nintendo team in Kyoto is developing. I think it's gonna be going just like that. But what do you think about this new information? Can we trust it as much as Nathan Haight? I would say no, but I would love to be wrong. sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press that notification bell to not miss any upcoming The Legend of Zelda and Ocarina of Time remake videos. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to our heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf and Kintaro. You rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.